Hey guys, it's Maris. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees. I'm a little bit sick, so my voice is going to be really smoky and crunchy for this video. Today I'm going to be talking about my best friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. You've probably seen this amazing cover in your feed or on GOODREADS or somewhere because it is literally everywhere. And I can say happily that for this one, the hype is definitely real. It is super good, and I really enjoyed it. Grady Hendrix also did Horror Store. It looks like an IKEA catalog. Maybe you've seen that one too, which I haven't read, but a lot of people that I know who have read it have enjoyed it, so I might check that one out as well. But before we get into my best friend's Exorcism, I wanted to do not an unboxing, because it's not a box, but an unlettering, I guess we could call it. I am a Patreon for A Stranger Dream. They make a bunch of horror themed bookmarks, and I get one bookmark a month. So I wanted to do this unlettering and see what I got for this month. I don't know where my sacrificial jade knife went. I think it's somewhere where it's just too far for me to get. So I'm just gonna open this with my hands. The Patreon thing is really cool, and I'm only doing 2 Patreon accounts. The other one that I do is a newsletter that the author Matthew J. Kirby does. It's sort of like this old-fashioned Victorian pamphlet, I guess, and there's like he writes all of the articles and the ads and, you know, whatever he's featuring, like if it's a poem or something, and it's really cool, and I really enjoy it. It comes as a PDF every month, so I really enjoy that. So those are the only 2 Patreon things that I'm doing at the moment, but I'm really liking it. I think it's really cool. Oh, okay. So, wow, this is cool. So every time you get a bookmark, they have this like, I think it's a protective piece of cardboard that comes in there, so you can protect your bookmarks as they're shipping. So if you've seen The Shining, you will totally recognize this, and it is the woman in the bathtub. And on this side, she's pristine, and on this side, she's very ghoulish and very much not alive. So this is really, really cool. What a surprise. That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool. And then there's another bookmark here that says, "Their heads weren't found severed, their heads were not found at all." And it is a Sleepy Hollow reference. So that's awesome. So cool. I love these bookmarks, and I kind of like don't like to use them because I don't want to mess them up. But how cool. How cool is that? Two-sided. Okay, so now that we have the mail out of the way, let's go ahead and get to my best friend's Exorcism. So we start with Abby and Gretchen, who have been friends ever since the 4th grade. It started at Abby's ET themed birthday party at a roller rink, super 80s, where no one from her class showed up except for Gretchen. And ever since that time period, they have just really never been apart. They've been super close. They just become sisters, basically. And they attended school together. They did everything together. And then we find them entering high school. They're attending a private high school. It's very prestigious. So a lot of the students that go there are very wealthy. Abby actually comes from a working class home. Her mom is a nurse who's working a lot of crazy hours, and her dad is actually unemployed. So he is fixing lawnmowers at home, but it's more like a lawnmower garden that he has going on, not a lot of fixing. The fact that Abby is not wealthy is not an issue between her and her friends at all. They get along super well, and you know, everything is really, really good. So these friends, there's 4 of them, including Gretchen and Abby. There's Glee and Margaret. And they decide that they want to party, and they get some acid and drop it at Margaret's house, and are just kind of like hanging out, you know, on the lawn, you know, waiting for the acid to kick in. But then Gretchen has this spontaneous desire to jump into the water, and she just takes off running in the dark. There's a dock that she's going to jump off of, And Margaret's like, we can't let her do this, it's low tide. And so all of the girls start running, trying to stop her. But by the time they get there, Gretchen is gone. They can't find her. She's not in the muddy, shallow water. She's not anywhere. So they spend hours and hours and hours looking for her in the woods and deep up and down the lake, and they just can't find her. Eventually, Abby stumbles across an old burnt-out building that's in the woods, and Gretchen is there. She takes her home, but Gretchen seems to be different. She's despondent. She's not really talking, and Abby really wants to know what happened, but Gretchen will not open up. And as time passes, Gretchen begins to shift physically, mentally, emotionally. Everything begins to change, and Abby's whole life, as she knew it, is ripped apart. And this is where we really begin the story. The premise was really perfect. It's this setting of a high school and just like that environment, and just like high school teenage like culture and politics on its own. Really fertile ground for evil to wreak chaos. And it has like the fun and silly backdrop of like the 1980s. And then it has this demonic possession. And as you can imagine, being in high school, right, you have a lot of people who have their own narratives, like the administration, like your parents, like the students. They all have like their own take on how the world works and how it's working, and that really plays a really huge part in this book. You really are rooting for Abby. She's enduring a lot to deal with the situation, and you're rooting for her. As for the horror aspect of this book, you might be asking, like, oh yeah, it sounds fun and it's in the 80s and it's about high school students and there's a possession going on, but is it creepy and is it scary? And yes, it is. It's creepy and gross, much more gross than I expected, and very gory. I really appreciated the effort and the detail that went into so many of these scenes, because like they were really gross, and even when I was reading them, I was like, get to feel it, taste it, feel it. It might look like the Babysitter's Club Halloween edition, but it's not. It does have a big heart, and it really does tell like a really amazing story of friendship, and it's very clever in the way that it expresses or displays evil within the system of like a teenager's life. That is very clever, very, very well done. I know that Grady Hendrix is also a screenwriter, and that really shows through because it's very cinematic. Like when you're reading it, it's very easy to visualize. I really hope that this actually does turn into a film or a TV show that stays really true to the book. It won't. Fun things to note, that each chapter is a song title, a popular song title from the 1980s that also goes along with, the content of the chapter. There is a character that I thought was really funny and great. I don't want to spoil it. I'll just say he likes protein. There is one scene, I have a really favorite scene in here. I won't tell you what it is. So there's a person who is... Never mind, I can't tell you. Sorry, I can't tell you. You're just gonna have to read the book. Even though I never had a best friend who was possessed. There's still a lot of things in here that felt very familiar and very human. It was thoughtfully written. I feel like the author cared about the characters, the story, the characters, the artwork, the songs that are in here. I mean, it definitely gives you like this whole entire world to be extremely immersive in. And, even on the back, it's like this like fake video cover with, with like fake stills and stuff. So it has this kind of little world that it's already built around itself, which I think is super cool, and I really, really appreciate that a lot. So for me, My Best Friend's Exorcism was a really interesting combination of high school life with the backdrop of the 1980s and demonic possession. It was really interesting combination, and it was really, really well done. So my rating for My Best Friend's Exorcism is 93 points out of 114, and that is a 4.5 star read. Now the next book that I'm starting is The Devouring Grey. This is, I think I'm on page 7. I just started it. Already off to a good start. It sounds pretty cool, so definitely really interested to keep this going. I definitely wanted to do something special for Halloween, but I don't have any ideas. Strangely and oddly enough, people do get dressed up on Halloween here. It's like an American holiday that they adopted, but they just don't have all this stuff. You know, they have like some costumes and, you know, some like cobweb eyelashes and stuff, but they don't have like Halloween stores where you can go and find, you know, everything you would ever want. and also, you know, like a Joann's or a Michael's, you know, to get stuff like that. So I don't know, I'm gonna try and do something fun. If you guys have any ideas for a Halloween special, let me know. I might just do it. But I just don't know what I should do. I'm not sure yet, but we'll have to figure something out, because I feel like, you know, I gotta do it. I gotta do something special for Halloween. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight on our nighttime edition. And I hope you have a really good upcoming week, and I will talk to you next time.